What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of this fine program. And before we get into this, I just want to make sure that you go down to that description so you can follow us on social media. All that bullshit is in the description. You just click it, you follow it, you like it, you do whatever, and you'll know when there's new podcast up. Anyway, to get into the intros, I'm Andrew Ravens of eWrestlingNews.com. Of course, I'm joined by my co-host, John of Wrestling Inc. and Low Kick MMA. And I think we have to start off the podcast like this, John. What did you think of the epic breaking of the ring between Braun Strowman and The Big Show?
I liked it. I wasn't expecting it up until when they were teasing it a bunch, and they usually do that with big man matches like we've seen before with Braun and the Big Show. They tease a superplex off the top, but they never really do it. And then I didn't think they were actually going to do that spot. And once they did do it, I just thought, something like Braun would pin him or something like that. I didn't expect it to be the finish or anything. Maybe a lot of people did see it coming, but I really didn't. And I enjoyed it, man. The last time we saw that was with the Big Show again and Brock, I believe it was. And that was insane. The whole thing collapsed. I would have liked to have seen Braun kind of roll over and pin him just to end it like that, but he just walked off and the match never really ended. So, I would have liked to have seen a pinfall ending like that way, because I think the only reason they didn't do that was because the ref kind of like flipped out of the ring and like hit his head or something. I don't know. He looked funny how the ref flew out of there, but I thought the spot was awesome. I really liked it. I think it was a nice way to end Raw. It was refreshing from what we usually get.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, you brought up the fact that they originally did that with Big Show and Lesnar in 2003. They actually did it again. I believe this is 2011. It could have been 2012. But it was Big Show and Mark Henry. They broke the ring, and that's how they ended that pay-per-view. I forgot the Vengeance pay-per-view. That's what it was. But that was a good moment. But in terms of the Raw breaking of the ring, I thought that was the best one because they haven't done it in so long, and it always gets a huge pop, and that referee took an insane bump. But I was a little surprised that they did that going into that match, and I already had my headline written just because they did the storyline angle last week on Monday Night Raw and throughout the week, and he worked live events, but he still played up the storyline at least. I thought Roman Reigns was going to make his epic Superman return and, kind of cost Strowman the match, or at least cause a DQ. Now, I'm not necessarily a Roman Reigns hater to say, but I like the direction that they went, and I think you have to give WB Creative a lot of credit for just going outside the norm, because they could have easily went with the Reigns interference, and they didn't. And that not only helps that show, helped that segment, and made a creative moment, but it also prolonged the eventual Roman Reigns coming back and getting his revenge on Strowman. And in my personal opinion, I think they should at least leave Reigns off of TV up until the upcoming Payback pay-per-view event, just to get more heat on it. You could do some vignettes with him or like a backstage interview, but I wouldn't have Reigns and Strowman touch until that pay-per-view, just to draw more attention to it.
Yeah, I agree. I like the fact, because I myself was expecting the Reigns interference. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting the ref to get knocked down somehow, like Braun runs into him or something, and Reigns comes in with the spear, and Show gets the cover, something like that, just to kind of build up the tension between him and Braun even more before Payback. But I do like that they're keeping him off of TV for now, kind of selling the injury from the whole terrible ambulance spot with him and Strowman, where he flipped him over in the ambulance and all that crazy shit. But I liked it, and I like that your idea of keeping him off of TV until Payback. I think that makes Roman look, it's even more of a. I don't want to say pop with Roman, because you can't really because they're just going to
No.
But it's gonna make it a lot more. It's gonna build up the anticipation a little more to the match, and I see a lot of people are really getting behind Strowman, just because he's going against Reigns. He's getting a lot of attention. So I really like this pairing, and I know they're going to try and, ease this into a program with Strowman and Lesnar, and then eventually Reigns and Lesnar. And, I just think this whole, if the WWE plays their cards right, I think this whole little triangle can be something really great.
Yeah, and switching gears, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I thought that it was at least notable to bring up. It's very sad, it's very tragic, and I will definitely botch his last name so everyone can get on to me about that. But that was former WWE superstar Rosie, real name Matt Inoue. Of course, he is the older brother of Roman Reigns and the son of a Hall of Famer. He passed away on April 17th. At the age of 47, and there's some speculation regarding his death, and it appears that it was heart failure, but we won't know until they do an autopsy, and we're probably looking at 6 to 8 months for that if they do it correctly. He didn't do much in WB, but he was at least there. He worked there from 2002 to 2006. Most notably, he was in 3 Minute Warning, and he worked with the Hurricane, where he and the Hurricane went on to become WB Tag Team Champions. Any thoughts on this other than that?
Yeah, man, it's just really sad. Like you said, he didn't do too much, but I found him fairly entertaining. And I enjoyed. I enjoyed pretty much everything he did in the WWE, and I don't think I don't think I could say that for many guys who have been in there. So, he was very entertaining. He comes from a historic family in the WWE, and my heart goes out to them at this time, man. It's tough, and it's way too soon. He was He was still in his late 40s, wasn't he?
47, yeah.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah, switching gears, and I'm actually excited about this, and it's the reports. Originally, it was reported by Wade Keller over at the pwtorch.com, and that is Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis. They are headed to WB. Now, of course, Maria worked in WB in the early 2000s, mid-2000s, somewhere around there. She came from the Diva Search contest, and, she did some things, mostly managers. She wasn't necessarily the greatest wrestler in the world, but she was an eye candy, and that's what WB kind of based their women talent around. And then Mike Bennett, he really made his name known in Ring of Honor. Of course, that's where they met, and kind of became a on-screen pair. For whatever reason, they decided to leave Ring of Honor and go to Impact Wrestling, which was the touch of death for their careers for about a year there. I will say this, I didn't really like Bennett's work in Impact Wrestling. I thought he was a little bit better in ROH, but Maria Kanellis not only showed that she can be someone that is used properly, but she can talk like no other. She at least was one of the best people on the mic in Impact Wrestling, and they will be coming back to WTV soon. They're supposed to be placed on the SmackDown brand, and I will ask you this. I think with Maria being his almost manager type, I think that's going to help Mike, but I have a little bit of concerns about how they're going to place Mike. I don't see him as a WWE champion. He could be like a secondary guy, but when he has achieved his most success is when he's in a tag team. Thoughts?
Yeah, again, like you said, I don't see him being a top contender or anything like that. I think Maria's going to be a good mouthpiece for him. I could see him in the a tag team title picture with somebody, and I could really see him in the United States title picture with Kevin Owens and all those second tier kind of guys like you mentioned already. As far as Maria goes, I'm not sure about her in-ring work. I don't know if they're going to try and put her in the run for the title over there on SmackDown, but like you said, eye candy, that's something that WWE really likes to use with their women that they bring in, and she certainly is and was back in the day eye candy. So I think a lot of people are really excited to see her back. But yeah, I'm excited to see Mike Bennett in the WWE. I'm not too familiar with his work. Like I've mentioned before in the podcast, I didn't don't really pay too much attention to Impact or Ring of Honor that much, but I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table, and I'm excited to see what the WWE is going to do with him.
Yeah, I believe that it would be a mistake to put Maria in the ring as an in-ring talent. She's solid, but she's nothing very special, and I think that it would be almost a disservice if they did put her in the ring instead of a manager, because Mike is not the greatest talker. And one of the knocks on Bennett throughout his career is he doesn't really wrestle as a indie style type of guy. He's always been based around and titled as a WB style worker. And that was probably one of his reasonings that WWE was interested in him. And I think it shows that WWE has a lot of faith in both talents to not put them in NXT and put them on the main roster. I mean, if you look at all the guys that they put in NXT and you can go down the list, most of those guys don't even need to be in NXT. I understand the reasoning behind it. It draws interest into that brand. It sells tickets, viewership, you name it. It's there, and I understand that. And so with that being said, with them not being put in NXT, I have to believe, at least off the bat, that WWE has big plans for Bennett and Maria. I just don't know what that necessarily is. Because if they're going to SmackDown, I can't see them taking the U.S. title off Owens unless he's going to lose it somehow down the road, and that's a possibility, and then eventually, go and face probably Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. But it should be interesting. And I was thinking about this, John, and I think I have a point to this. If you noticed, in the summertime, WB really holds back on the creative and the angles and stuff like that. And I think it's due to two reasons. It being summertime and the NBA playoffs kicking up. If you've noticed, they hold off after WrestleMania, and they don't really start kicking things up until about July. You have your Money in the Bank pay-per-view. It appears that we won't have a draft this year in July like last year, but then you start getting the build for SummerSlam, which is, of course, in August, and I miss it every year. Is there a concern? I don't think there's a concern in terms of them holding back, because yes, their TV ratings are dropping, but they have convinced themselves that social media matters. And I have ranted on the last two podcasts about how social media does not matter in terms of TV viewership. Are you concerned about this? And are you not necessarily as interested in WWE product going into the summertime as a fan?
Yeah, like you said, as a fan, they typically slow down around this time of year. So I'm not too interested in it. I mean, I can just tell by what they're gonna do, what they're doing right now. They're gonna start slowing down, which we're gonna talk about Jinder Mahal in a minute. But right now, they have Jinder Mahal as the contender for the WWE title. In my opinion, they're beating a dead horse with the Roman and Braun Strowman feud. We've seen it before. They've faced each other at a pay-per-view before. So that's something we've seen already. I'm expecting the storylines to be rather repetitive, just the extension of old feuds. Just kind of coasting for the next month or couple months. And like you said about the NBA playoffs, I think that also has a big factor, in it as well. For me personally, if my Rockets are playing and the WWE is on at the same time, I'm probably going to be watching the Rockets game. So, that's just me. But as far as being excited as a fan, yeah, this is about the time of year where I'm kind of turned off to the product, just because, for one, and I do understand why they do it. I do understand that they're, just coasting because they know people want to enjoy their summers. They know people are probably paying attention to the NBA playoffs. And, that's just kind of the norm now. So I'm expecting that once the summer is up, come around SummerSlam, something like that, business starts to pick up again.
Yeah, and we'll get to the Jinder Mahal situation in a minute, but I think this backs up my argument in this topic of, while SmackDown Live last week did its best viewership since the WWE draft last July, they were down nearly 600,000 viewers, and that was going up against the NBA playoffs. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do that every week, but I'm just saying you can see the drop and how the summertime / NBA playoffs does affect WWE programming. And with the WWE title, we have a little bit of a situation on our hands. And there was not a lot of people that picked up on this, but until reports started coming out, and if you go on WWE.com, you'll notice this as well. They originally, when the Superstar Shakeup originally happened, Bray Wyatt was traded to Monday Night Raw from SmackDown Live, but he was currently in a program, and still is, with WWE Champion Randy Orton. And it was expected before the trade that they would face each other at Backlash, which takes place, I believe, May 21st, 22nd, something like that. But Wyatt was traded to Raw. And there was a lot of speculation, and we actually talked about this on last week's podcast of, well, if Wyatt wins the WWE title, then it goes to Raw. And I had an issue with that, with Lesnar being the Universal Champion on Raw. But it appears that this match is not going to be for the WWE title, because WWE is not advertising it as a championship match. They're just advertising as a House of Horrors match. So basically it's going to be a non-title blow-off to their feud, and after this, Randy is going to go his way and Bray is going to go that way. Here is my question. Does this hurt this match with the WWE title not being on the line?
I mean, I don't know. I was never too invested in the storyline with Bray and Randy from the beginning. So this match really doesn't do much for me. As far as the title not being in it, yeah, I think that hurts it even more, because people want to see who's the WWE champ and where is the belt going to go. Is it going to go to Raw and Raw is going to have both belts, or is it going to go to SmackDown and, all is well, each brand has a belt? I've always been a guy that prefers the one belt, and the champion pretty much works both shows. That's just me. But now they have this WWE Universal title, which Brock now has, which is being pumped up in actuality to be the belt, as opposed to the WWE title. Whatever belt is on Raw is going to be recognized as the belt, and I think we all know that. But yeah, the belt not being on the line kind of turns it off for me. I'm just interested to see what this House of Horror match is going to, contain and how they're going to work it. But, yeah, like I said earlier, this feud, this match really doesn't do much for me. I'm just excited to see the program between Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor moving forward. I'm ready for this little thing between Bray and Randy to be over with.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily hurt that the match is not going to be with the title. And I don't think the title even being on the line, if it was, would have even helped it. Going into WrestleMania 33, which is, of course, their original match, which is, of course, is where Orton won the championship. Going into that, I was really pumped up about that match. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I was just excited for it. But it's always the fucking Randy Orton effect. It never fails. If this man does not want to put on a good match, it's not going to happen. He has to be in a great mood that day for a great match to happen with him. And when he is spot on, and he can have one of the best matches with anyone on the roster. I think in order to help this match, John, I think that they need to have a giant sperm on the entrance ramp for Randy Orton's entrance, just like at Mania. Okay? That's going to spark interest. But I will say this. I have an idea of what this match is going to be like. WB has not come out and stated what this match is going to be like, because WB does not know what this match is going to be like. I envision this being a hardcore / no-holds-barred match, which is the exact same match, but we have to call it different things. It's a street fight. You want to throw in that term. Why not? Why we have to have 3 terms for one fucking match? I don't know, but that's just WB. Vince McMahon and his quirks, they're so weird and unique and different and just makes no sense. I think the adding of gimmicks in terms of weapons, I think that will help this. I think that's what they should have done at Mania, because I just don't understand why they thought just having a good old-fashioned wrestling match would help these guys. They're brawlers. They've always been brawlers, and you have to put them in that environment for them to advance and then for them to elevate each other. And let's get to fucking Jinder Mahal. I've been waiting since Tuesday to talk about this motherfucker. I have nothing against Jinder Mahal. It's not his race. It's not even his veins. Oh my God, his veins. I honestly am scared when I see him, just because I just hope he's going to be okay. If he's not on anything, and I'm not accusing him of being on anything, I think he pumps a lot of iron and eats a lot of rare, like raw eggs. You notice fucking guys that lift weights, they eat a lot of raw eggs for some reason. And I could be wrong. I don't work out or anything like that. I like Oreos and fucking chocolate cake, but I digress. Jinder Mahal is the number one contender for the WWE Championship. He will face Randy Orton at the upcoming Backlash pay-per-view. You know how much I get confused on Backlash and Payback and where they're located and what dates? It's very confusing. I don't like it. I'm scared every time I write about it because I have to double check. I digress. That is 2 I digress in a matter of a minute. I'm proud. Jinder Mahal, he won a six-pack challenge on Tuesday's episode of SmackDown Live. He beat some guys. You got your Zigglers and your Harper and your Rowan, and that's all I can think of. There you go, and there's another motherfucker, but I digress. Jinder Mahal, a lot of people are shitting on this, John. I'm shitting on this. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that you took a job guy who has been portrayed as a job guy that you should not care about, and now, just because he won a six-pack challenge with a bunch of other mid-card to job guys, now he's the number one contender for the WWE title. One of the most prestigious titles in the company's history. Why are they doing this, John?
It beats me, man. I expected Raleigh's push to begin, or I expected Ziggler, anyone but Jinder. I thought Jinder was just there to be Jinder. I didn't think that, I did not honestly think that he had a shot at winning this, and when he did, I was shocked. Meltzer, I think, came out and said that he's been impressing people backstage with his work ethic and how seriously he's taking his run with the company this time around. I think he also said something like the fact that his physique, has improved tremendously, like me and you mentioned earlier. That they are really starting to, he's starting to raise some eyebrows backstage. So maybe this is the beginning of a push out of nowhere for him. Honestly, I don't think it is. I think that they're probably trying to go after maybe in the Indian market or something like that. That's just me. And like I said earlier, like we were talking about with SummerSlam, and it's not gonna. The WWE is going to pretty much slow everything down until we get to SummerSlam. I think this is also a part of that. So you kind of get to kill two birds with one stone. You get to target one market that you really want to hit, and you're also kind of slowing down for your, United States fans. You're just slowing things down, and it's beneficial to them. So plus Vince likes his big guys in the main event. He likes his big guys fighting for the title. He likes... he just likes big guys. I don't know any other way to say it, but I'm not too hyped on it, and I have nothing against him either. This is just going to be a match. It's just going to be another match on a card, and I don't know how long they're going to feud with this, how long they're going to, hold him up there on the main event scene, but it is what it is, man. This is the time of year where I kind of turn off from the product. I still, keep up with what's going on, but I'm not really too invested in it until SummerSlam comes back around. So it's not really going to affect me as a fan too much. But if they put the title on him, that will shock me. I don't expect that to happen, but if it does, boy, is that going to be something.
They will riot. That is what will happen. Now, obviously, he is not going to win the WWE title. There is no way in hell that this man is going to win the WWE title. This is a perfect example of WWE coasting during this time. And I think the best thing to back up that argument is Jinder Mahal and Randy Orton are not headlining SmackDown Live events for like the next 2 months. It's Orton versus AJ Styles for the WWE title. That is what is headlining these shows. They might throw in, some triple threats here and there. They've been doing that. They had Zayn on there, but it's not something. I don't see this lasting for a long period of time. I think this is a one and done, wham bam, thank you, man, kind of situation. And Jinder Mahal is the one who is receiving that. And he'll go right back down to being a jobber. You got to be happy for the guy. He's been in the business for, quite some time. I was not necessarily excited when they brought him back. I didn't like him when he was first here. I don't necessarily like him now. He's just kind of a guy, and get him off my television. That's kind of my opinion of him. And sticking with SmackDown Live, Dave Meltzer reported this on Wednesday's edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Now that John Cena is gone from WTV, he's out in Hollywood and he's filming some shit, being a movie badass, married to that smoking hot Nikki Bella. Shinsuke Nakamura. I always botch his first name. Y'all, you can make fun of me for it. I'm Oklahoma. Nakamura, that's how I refer to him as. He is taking over John Cena's place on SmackDown Live. He's going, and he has been, and he will continue to do so. The idea behind WWE's logic is when Cena was around, they would place him in dark match main events between the time that SmackDown Live went off the air on the USA Network to the time that 205 Live went live on the WWE Network. And the reason for that is people will leave in droves when SmackDown is over. No one really cares about 205 Live. It's sad. It's a decent show. I don't personally watch it. I watch enough pro wrestling as it is. I just don't have time for it. But that's the issue behind that. And their logic is, well, we'll put out a guy that fans really are behind, so they'll stay around. It doesn't really work because people still leave. They did that with Cena. They did that with Nakamura. He's been working with Dolph Ziggler. I've seen speculation of Nakamura working with Dolph Ziggler at the upcoming Payback pay-per-view event next month. I think that happens just because they've been teasing it on TV. Is Nakamura the right guy to take over John Cena's spot on SmackDown Live? I think so.
Yeah, why not? I mean, he proved himself that he can be a top guy over in NXT. I'm a fan of his. I like his entrance. I like his in-ring work. I think he has all the tools to be a top guy in the WWE. So yeah, I'm on board. As far as why they chose him, I'm not 100% sure, but I think he has it, man. I've always been a fan of his from what little work I saw in NXT, because I don't watch it religiously. I mainly just watch the takeovers, and he put on some great matches when he was over there. His matches with Samoa Joe in particular, I really enjoyed. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. I think it's good practice for him if he's going to be doing a lot of dark matches. I think it's a really good practice for him for when he actually hits TV as the main event. But yeah, I'm on board for it, man. To see Shinsuke at a top spot in on SmackDown, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him compete with guys like Kevin Owens and Randy Orton up there in the top title picture. I think that'd be really exciting. So, yeah, if he's going to be the guy that's taking over Cena's spot, that's great.
Indeed. Talking about taking spots, being pushed, we're talking about Baron Corbin. He's the man. He is the man in Vince McMahon's eyes. It's like me seeing a nice glazed donut. All right, that is me. That is how Vince McMahon sees Baron Corbin. He's supposedly supposed to get a big push. He's had a big push for a little bit now. He feuded with Dean Ambrose over the IC title, but I think they really want to make him a main event guy. His in-ring work has gotten so much better since he was in NXT, and when he was first called up to the main roster, his promo skills are a little shaky, but he reads from a script. He'll be okay, and WWE will push anyone that they want to. Perfect example, Jinder Mahal. John, here's my question. Is Baron Corbin someone that you can see as WB champion? Because I can, just because of his size.
Hey, I'm right there with you. Just because of his size, I can see it. He could be a very good big man heel. And I'm not just talking like one that we see for a minute and then is gone, like the Great Khali comes to mind, where he had a nice little run as a top big heel who was very dominant, and then he just turned into this comedic goof who was kissing people on camera. I don't think we're going to see that with Baron Corbin. He looks to me like the real deal. Like you said, his mic skills are shaky, but they're not terrible. He's going to have a script to read off of, and that's going to be great for him. His in-ring work isn't awesome, but he plays the big man role well. I think he has the look. I can see the belt on him. Maybe I want to say by the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if he already has the title, maybe next year, early next year. But I could see him getting in that title picture by as early as the end of this year. I already know that backstage a lot of guys are a little more hyped about Corbin than they are Strowman, so that just goes to show you how high someone like Vince and WWE officials are holding him back there. So I'm expecting big things from this kid, and he's got the size, he's got the look. Let's see what he does going forward, and let's see how he handles the main event spot. But he's had, like you said, he's had some experience, with big programs with Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental title. I'm actually surprised he didn't win. I was kind of expecting him to win the title at WrestleMania, but that's gone. Dean's over in Raw now, but I expect him to be in the main picture pretty soon, and I'm excited to see how he does in the main event.
Yeah, I could easily see him working with Orton, Nakamura. He might work with Zayn a little bit, but SmackDown Live needs heels. They need top heels, and I think that this is one of the reasons that WWE is pushing this guy so far, just because they always have this issue where they don't have enough heels. They have all these baby faces, but they don't have enough top tier heels. So it'll be interesting to see how they push him, who he works with in the leading months to come. And that is it for this edition of the podcast. We are out of topics. And thank you all for listening. Make sure to hit those plugs in the description. And of course, keep on saying, but I digress. I'm Andrew Ravens. That's John. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.